is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are the Fourth. We are the West.
With the successful return of Yu Darvish from Tommy John surgery, the Rangers now have the starting rotation they envisioned at the start of the season. Today, Texas sends to the mound another starter who's a little further into his return from Tommy John, Martin Perez. The Rangers go for their second straight win over the Pirates, their 8th straight home series win. It's Memorial Day weekend baseball. The Rangers take on the Pirates from Globe Life Park coming up next. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT high-speed internet. Well, a warm and muggy afternoon with a veil of very high clouds over the top of Globe Life Park. Glad to have you along this afternoon as the Rangers look to make it 2 straight over the Pittsburgh Pirates. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Greaves, Steve Busby with you. Glad you could join us on this Memorial Day weekend. Hope all of you are having a very safe and happy weekend. Rangers try to add a little pleasure to your holiday weekend with a victory this afternoon. Martin Perez gets the start, and he has been pitching well, Tom, in this month of May.
He has, Buzz. He started off pretty well this season. The one thing that seems to be happening as the season goes on, he seems to be getting more and more confident with each start, and he seems to be getting better with each start. His last start was probably his best start, 6 shutout innings against the LA Angels. He struck out 6 in that ball game. He's only 1-2 in the month of May, even though he has a great ERA of 2.08. Problem is the Ranger offense has only scored a total of 5 runs for him this month. So he's doing what he can do. If he gets a few runs, he's going to put some wins on the board.
Well, it'll be a very interesting game, a matchup of left-handers that, despite their age difference, they are very similar in their pitching styles, Martin Perez and Francisco Liriano. Prince Fielder and company getting set to take the field. They're looking to make it 2 straight over the Buccos. First pitch and lineups coming up after this. Baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Great American Sales Event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T high-speed internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. By Budweiser. Not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. An 87-degree afternoon here on this Sunday, the last Sunday of May, and the middle of this Memorial Day weekend. Kids out at their various positions as the Rangers take the field. Martin Perez heading out to the hill, and he will get the ball this afternoon to start things off. Before we get underway, let's head down and check in with Emily Jones.
Well, Buzz, you and Tom talked about it at the top of the show, Martin Perez, and how he's continued to improve with each start this season. We're seeing that confidence grow, and Jeff Bannister says one of the things that's impressed him the most is the fact that he's taking all of the things that they talk about when he doesn't start, all the things in between starts, and taking those to the mound.
You take the last few outings he's had, concentrating on the ground ball outs, using the vertical game for himself with throwing strikes, not letting the big inning creep in, try to eliminate the walks, early count outs, all those things. And so we're watching him mature. We're watching him settle in.
And you really can see that from start to start with Martin Perez, the way that he's handling not only things from start to start, but also those adjustments that need to take place from inning and even from batter to batter. So all of those things really taking place for Martin Perez all over the course of this season.
All right, Emily, thank you very much. Yeah, good points, and very important for this young man to continue that upward progression. Well, Tom's going to tell you about the Pittsburgh lineup that Martin will face today.
Pirates will start off with shortstop Jordy Mercer. Andrew McCutchen will bat second. David Freese is the first baseman. Jung-Ho Kang plays third base today and bats cleanup. Starling Marte is in left field. Francisco Cervelli gets the opportunity to DH. Sean Rodriguez will play second. Matt Joyce bats eighth in right field, and the catcher is Chris Stewart.
And Martin Perez making his 11th start of the year, the 25-year-old native of Venezuela. Last couple of times out has been very, very good. Much improved over what it was earlier. Again, something Tom mentioned about the ball club not scoring well for him. That has not seemed to affect Martin very much. He's still able to keep a very positive attitude. And we will see if that carries over to today. The league, though, just hitting .236 against him. And that's a pretty good measure of how effective he has been. So Jordy Mercer to start things off. The first pitch of the afternoon is in at the belt for strike one. Mercer, a .280 hitter, a home run and 19 driven in. He has been the leadoff hitter of choice for Clint Hurdle's club against the left-hander, and he lines one down the left field line. It is going to be in for extra bases. Ryan Rua digs it out of the corner. Mercer opens things up with a double to left field. Seems like we've seen that before. I believe that was how he started things off in the fifth inning. Got the hit off of Cole Hamels that made a big difference.
Mercer has been about a .250 hitter the last couple of years. Kind of coming into his own this year. He's having a nice season, hitting .280, and he's done a very good job since he's gotten elevated to the leadoff spot in the order. .340 hitter, batting leadoff.
Well, here's Andrew McCutchen, the number 2 hitter, batting at .258. Trying to take the ball the other way, and it's fouled out of play for strike one. McCutchen, 9 home runs. That is the high water mark for the Pirates this year. 22 RBI. 2 for 3 in his career against Martin Perez. Martin Perez has matched up 2 times with Francisco Liriano. Last time back in 2013 as Liriano got the win. This ball ripped to center field. Desmond going back, can't get it. It's off of his glove and up against the wall. Mercer scores into second with an RBI double, Andrew McCutchen. And the Pirates jump on Martin Perez with Back-to-back doubles. It's 1-0 Pittsburgh.
A couple of well-hit doubles. This ball is a breaking ball that hangs near the middle of the plate. McCutchen has good power. And the only question was whether or not Ian was going to be able to get to this ball. He's not playing deep. A little bit over toward right center. Gives it all he's got, just can't quite get there.
So, 1 run in, the man at second. Nobody out. David Freese steps to the plate. Freese getting the start at first base today for Clint Hurdle, and he looks at strike 1. David Freese batting .280. 3 home runs, 15 driven in. Freese joined the Pirates. They're signing with him about midway through spring training this year. 1 ball and 1 strike. Didn't have a full camp, didn't have the benefit of a full camp, but he has come on to swing the bat very, very well for the Pirates. 2 balls and a strike. Pittsburgh coming in 8 games over 500. They are 28-20. They trail the first place Chicago Cubs by 5.5 games in the National League Central. Clint Hurdle's club 13-11 away from Pittsburgh. And they still have the best batting average and on-base percentage in the National League. Off the end of the bat, Perez, and they've got McCutchen hung up.
Good job.
Yep.
There's how you do it. So many times the infielder or the pitcher throws that ball too soon. They allow a long rundown. They allow the batter to end up at second base. But Martin did the right thing. He ran right at him. He didn't throw the ball. He made him commit back to the base. And exactly how you want to execute this. 1 throw and then the out. A lot of people would throw it right now. Stay with it, make him go back. 1 throw, quick out, and the batter stays at first base.
And McCutchen, you can see him looking around, seeing how in the world can I get far enough into this rundown to allow Freese to get to second. He couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it because the pitcher held the ball.
Right.
Don't throw it too soon.
Oh, 1-6 on the putout. David Freese now at first base. And Jung Ho Gong is the hitter. Gong getting the start at third base. Takes strike 1. Gong overall a .308 average. 6 home runs, 17 driven in. Got a late start. Injuries kept him out of the lineup until the first part of the month of May. He's had 17 RBI this month, and that's more than he had in any one month in his rookie year last year.
Yeah, and he's only been up 52 times. 6 home runs and 17 knocked in and 52 at bats.
Pretty good production.
That's some production, boy. Had that terrible injury last year that caused him to miss the last part of the season. But he seems as though he's come back pretty well from it. I'd say watching him play, you better be able to throw something off speed to keep him off your fastball. He's going to tear you apart.
You see the interleague numbers for Gong. .371 average. 4 home runs, 11 driven in. Multi-hit games in the last several. There's a good breaking ball. And Martin Perez gets the punch out, so they're 2 gone. And we'll take a look at the Ranger defense, brought to you tonight by the New Braunfels Convention and Visitors Bureau. Rua, Desmond, and Mazzara left, center, and right. Moreland and Profar on the right side. Alberto, the start at shortstop. Anzer joins Adrian Beltre on the left side. Then Brian Holiday behind the plate, catching for Martin Perez. So Martin Perez, after the back-to-back doubles to start the inning, has come on to get 2 quick outs. Now we'll have to deal with Starling Marte. Marte a .317 mark for the year. He has hit safely in 8 of his last 10 ball games at about a .319 clip. 1 ball and 1 strike. Saw Marte here on Friday night really break out all of his skills. And stolen base and running a couple balls down in the outfield, showing you the speed, the power, the ability to really be a big man in the lineup. Martin Perez getting set for his 15th pitch of this first inning. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Marte with 4 home runs this year. They have all come on the road. 19 runs driven in. And the Rangers defensively play him as a slight pull hitter. And Alberto and Profar in the middle of the diamond, shading him 3 or 4 steps around to the left. 3-1. 2-1, excuse me, 2-2. One of those things. Perez trying to build on the last 2 starts, which have been very good and progressively better. We'll try the 2-2 pitch again. Last time out, a 5-hit effort in 6 shutout innings against the Angels. Time before, he worked 7 innings. That's a season high for him against Oakland. Took the loss in that ball game. Gave up 4 runs in those 7 innings. The line for the Angels with 2 walks and 6 strikeouts. Cut down on the walks the last 2 times. Only 2 walks in each ball game. Still 2-2. And walks really in the early part of Martin's major league career not a factor. He was always one of those guys that walked seeming like 2 or fewer per ball game. But that's jumped up a little bit since he's come back from Tommy John surgery. Came back middle of last year. And the base on balls, the tentativeness that kind of creeps in when you're trying to come back from surgery like that, got him and carried over to the early part of this year. 7th pitch of this at bat coming. Chopped up the middle. And Profar will take it to the bag, and that will do it. So a nice job by Martin Perez. The rebound gives up a run on 2 hits and 1 left after a half inning. Pirates 1, Rangers coming up. On 1-0, and Tom's going to tell you now about the Texas Rangers lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines.
Jurickson Profar again will lead off. Ian Desmond will bat second. Prince Fielder, the DH, bats third. Adrian Beltre, coming off a game where he had a big 2-run homer, is the cleanup hitter. Nomar Mazara is in right field. Ryan Rua, 6 for 11 in his past 5 games, will bat sixth. Mitch Moreland is at first base. Brian Holiday gets a start behind the plate. He's hit .364 in his last 7 starts. And Hanser Alberto will bat ninth. He's the shortstop.
In that lineup facing the 32-year-old southpaw Francisco Liriano. 0-1 pitch to Jurickson Profar. 1 ball and 1 strike. Profar 3 for 9 in the first 3 ball games since getting the call up from AAA Round Rock. Pulls that one foul, and the count moves to 1-2. Profar, of course, the switch hitter, batting right-handed against the veteran left-hander Liriano. Francisco Liriano has been with the Pirates going back to 2013. That year he was a 16-game winner with them. 2-2. Numbers for, or I should say the scouting report: 3 basic pitches, excellent movement on the fastball, and a very much above average changeup. Command has been an issue with him at times, so you need to make him throw strikes early in the ball game. Looped into center. McCutchen coming on. He's going to have to play it on a hop, and Profar has his 4th hit in 10 times to the plate. So he is aboard to start the Ranger first.
Liriano's walked somewhere around 5 batters per 9 innings. It can be very difficult to hit. Over the last 3 years, opponents have hit somewhere around 220 against him. One of the toughest starting pitchers in the National League as far as opponents' batting average goes. And he also strikes out over 9 batters per game. 9 batter per inning, actually. So he's got good stuff. He can strike you out, and occasionally he will walk you as well.
Quick move by Liriano. Ian Desmond at the plate, and Desmond with the highest average he has had to start a ball game this year for the Rangers, 296. 6 home runs, 28 RBI. Tried to bunt his way aboard and bunted through it for strike 1. Desmond, multiple hits in 4 of his last 5 ball games. He's been on some kind of tear. How about hitting safely in 9 straight day games? 474 mark. A ball and a strike. Liriano, who originally came up with the Minnesota Twins back in 2005, was with Minnesota until the 2012 season. Went to the White Sox for a bit, and then signed that next offseason with the Pirates. One and two. Ian Desmond 2 out of 7 in his career against Liriano. Profar at first. A leadoff base hit has him aboard. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Desmond checking with third base coach Spike Owen down there to see if Profar might be running on this pitch. The infield up a couple of steps at double play depth, shading a step around to the left side. Just got underneath it a little bit, I think. Marte going back near the edge of the warning track. He makes the catch. Has been a long fly for out number 1, and Prince Fielder will come up. Take a look at the rest of the Pirates defense for you this afternoon. You saw Marte in left field and McCutchen in center. Matt Joyce to start in right. David Freese at first. Sean Rodriguez at second. Jordy Mercer and Jay Kong on the left side of the diamond, along with Chris Stewart behind the plate today. Francisco Cervelli getting the partial day off. He will DH. And Stewart getting the start behind the plate. The 1 out now. Here's Prince Fielder. 0-1. Fielder, not much luck against Liriano. He's 5 for 22 in his career. He had a booming double in last night's ball game. Ripped one off the wall in dead center. A line shot.
Yeah, Prince has hit the similar kind of ball in each of the first 2 games of this series. And what you hope is eventually that starts to become a consistent thing for Prince.
In the overshift put on by the Pirates. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gong, the third baseman, playing a normal shortstop spot. Good look at the Pirates defense. Outfield, by contrast, pretty much straight away. Fielder, a couple of home runs. He has driven in 25. 2-1. Now the Rangers just a half game now behind the Seattle Mariners. Seattle lost last night, their second straight. Rangers at 28-21. That's the second time they have been a team best 7 games over 500 this year. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That breaking ball kind of backing Prince Fielder away and caught the upper reaches of the strike zone. Rangers come into play hitting at 260. That's 4th in the American League. Also 4th with 224 runs scored. Got him swinging. Breaking ball down and away, and Liriano strikes out Fielder. 2 gone for Adrian Beltre.
I mentioned that Liriano's a strikeout pitcher in his last 3 seasons. Total, he's been well over a strikeout per inning. And this year, he's right there again. 53 innings, 53 strikeouts. They got a good assortment of pitches. Tough to hit. His opponent's batting average this year is a little bit higher than it normally is, and it's only 242.
Here's Adrian Beltre, who clobbered his 9th home run of the year last night. Also got him up over 1,500 career RBI. He's now 54th all-time on that RBI list. Next up, one of the original M&M boys, Mickey Mantle. One ball, no strikes. In our Ford leaderboard, I'm going to show you the all-time RBI leaders. There's Adrian at 54th, and Mantle 8 RBI ahead. Carlos Delgado, Jeff Kent, and Sam Crawford. Sam Crawford up there at 50th. 2-0 to Beltre. Adrian also becomes just the 4th player to play primarily third base in his career and reach that mark. Chipper Jones, 1,623, leads that pack. George Brett, 25 behind. Chopper to short. The second for the force. That will do it for the Rangers. No runs a hit. They leave 1 after 1 at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Pirates 1, Rangers nothing. weekend, Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with emerging vets and players dedicated to ensuring our nation's warriors can be as productive off the field as they were on it, and by joining combat veterans with former athletes to form a common bond over dedication and teamwork. Visit foxsportssupports.com to learn more. Cervelli, first ball swinging, and he grounds out to Hanser Alberto. That is out number 1 before Sean Rodriguez steps in. Let's say hello to Jim Knox.
I appreciate it, Buzz. Hey, great afternoon for baseball. We got the undefeated 5-year-old Colleyville Rangers on hand today, having a good time so far. And how about the littlest fan in the stands? The Smith family said, hey, this is a great day to come bring our girl for the very first baseball game. What's her name?
Maya Smith.
All right, Maya, having a good time, it looks like. Maya enjoying this afternoon game. Way to go, like the bow there. All right, that's right. Let's go Rangers. Good to have you guys out here. Appreciate it.
Knox, you better bring her a boomstick. She looks like you can use one. Might as well get her started in the whole thing.
Boomstick's bigger than she is.
Yeah. She could go for that. At least for part of it. Dad would probably have to help. Sean Rodriguez pops one up down the first baseline. Profar and calling off Moreland at the last second. Profar makes what turns into be a circus catch.
It's a good thing he caught that ball because it would have been at least a double. And if it kicked off his glove, it might have been a triple. Nice play. Stayed with it. That's a fair ball.
And Mitch said immediately afterwards, thank you. I had no chance to catch that thing. He might have made an attempt at it, but the ball slicing back into toward fair territory in a pop-up like that, it makes it real tough for a first baseman to draw a bead on it.
Yep, Mitch says thank you for that.
Yeah.
If the second baseman can get to it, he's not shifted over toward shortstop too much. It's a much easier play for him coming to his left and seeing the ball all the way than the first baseman who's got his back to the ball.
No, 2 away. Here's Matt Joyce.
That's the way it's supposed to be done.
Matt Joyce getting the start in right field today, batting at .333. He has 5 home runs and has driven in 15. That is at the knees. So far saying, yeah, you look up there and there's not a whole lot up there except a few clouds and a blue sky and a lot of glare. There you go. That's what they're looking up to. Two and one. 3-1. Now Joyce batting 8th, bidding to get aboard here in the second. Chris Stewart, the catcher, will be next in the order. And ball 4 puts him aboard. Well, the 2-out walk. See if Martinez can work around that. He'll face Chris Stewart. Stewart getting the start today. This is his 10th start behind the plate this year. He's hit safely in 6 of his first 9 starts. Perez a check of first and deals strike 1. We'll take a look at our Kubota power stats for Martin Perez. Last 10 home starts, he has been good. How about 5-1 and a 2.08 ERA? 6 innings or more in each start. That's what the Rangers are looking for today from him. 1-1 to Stewart. Chris Stewart with the Rangers back in 2007. Caught 17 ball games for him. Two and one. Stewart has also had stops in Chicago on the south side with the White Sox. Played a bit with the Yankees in San Diego, also San Francisco and the Mets before landing in Pittsburgh in 2014. Perez leaning in for the sign. Ryan Holiday flashing out the numbers. Nice Sunday afternoon crowd on hand. Rangers had a sellout last night. 47,000 in attendance. Alberto has a little trouble getting it out of his glove, but makes a strong throw for the force. That'll take care of the Pirates. No runs, no hits, one left. After 1.5, Pirates 1, Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. On Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Great American Sales Event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. The Pirates with a run in the first have a 1-0 lead over the Rangers as Nomar Mazara gets ready to step in to start off the Rangers second. It'll be Mazara, Rua, and Moreland to face Francisco Liriano. Nomar Mazara, a .316 average as he takes ball one. And speaking of Nomar, how about our TXU Energy power player to watch? That man in the batting box right now. 6 day games this year. He has hit .458. And he hits a towering pop foul on the next pitch. Freeze right next to the Ranger dugout. Handles that for out number one. That was a major league pop-up.
Well, when you hit a major league pop-up, it generally means you've hit the ball right on the great part of the bat. You've just gotten underneath it, hit the bottom of the ball. Well, it's good contact. Just didn't quite get it in the middle of the bat.
Freeze doing the best he could, squinting into that glare up above. So 1 out. Here's Ryan Rua. Rua steps to the plate, hitting at .287. That changeup, 0-1. Rua has had a very good year against left-handed pitching. He's gone 15 for 35. That's a .429 mark.
That's exactly what you hope to do if you're Ryan Rua, because as the season goes on, a lot of his at-bats will be against lefties. He's played against righties recently, too, with Chu out. Now, to pretty much guarantee yourself a key role on a ball club, if you can pound left-hand pitching, then Ryan's going to continue to get playing time.
Here are the numbers for him, and 192 against right-handers. That evens the count to him at 2 balls, 2 strikes. And speaking of Shin-Soo Choo, Jeff Bannister talking about him very briefly today. Said there is a plan in place, a timeline in place. That he wasn't ready to tell anybody what it was all about, but he said there is a plan that Choo is on, and expect that he will be back in due course. Rua gone on strikes, 2 punch outs for Lariano, 2 away, and Mitch Moreland next.
But neither team took official batting practice today, but very early, Choo is out here with a couple of other guys taking batting practice. Swinging the bat great, so as soon as his leg's okay, won't be long before he's back and ready to play. Not sure exactly what the rehab assignment will be or whether there'll even be one. Generally there is, though, but it shouldn't be a long one.
First pitch to Moreland, a bit high for ball 1. Mitch clobbered his 5th home run of the year in last night's ball game. And an off-speed pitch. It got out of here pretty quickly. One ball and 1 strike. Take you back to last night. On Nicasio, he stayed back nicely on that off-speed pitch and got it out of here. Finds himself, however, down on the count at 1 ball and 2 strikes here. 18 RBI to go along with the 5 round trippers for Mitch. Call, strike 3. Front door breaking ball. The 12-pitch inning sends the Rangers down in order. Francisco Liriano getting it done. After 2, Pirates by 1.
On top of Texas as we head to the top of the 3rd here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Happy to be able to tell you about some of the positive things the Rangers are doing in the community. And yesterday, more than 120 kids from various youth baseball leagues participated in the PLAY program. PLAY stands for Prepare. Oh gosh, I knew I was going to forget what it stands for. It stands for Promoting a Lifetime of Activity for Youth, and it's a national public awareness campaign of the Professional Baseball Athletic Trainers Society. Several Rangers baseball players on hand for the event. MLB Charities also a part of it, as well as the Taylor Hooten Foundation. Derek Holland says it better than me.
We talked to many kids, which was outstanding. I had a lot of fun doing this. We were talking from steroids to talking about how to stay active on the field. We're trying to keep them positively active and working and going after everything that they should to keep themselves on the field, but also active in the neighborhood with their friends. The big thing too was also to talk about doing schoolwork as well and continue to improve themselves both on and off the field.
Very well said, Derek. I should have just let Derek say the whole thing. A lot of words for me to remember. A lot of acronyms, guys. But I tried my best.
You did, Ed. That was very good, though. Very good. Got the point across. Everybody understands about play now.
Well, one thing I've noticed about Derek over the years is he is very good with kids.
Yep.
I've been with him several times in the off season when we've gone to children's hospitals. Whenever there's children around, he's a perfect guy to have there because he speaks the language of a child.
He does. He does.
Does it very well.
Gets right down to their level.
Yep.
They enjoy it. Derek enjoys it. Jordy Mercer leading off here in the third inning. Mercer scored the only run this afternoon. He led off the first inning with a double into the left field corner. Then Andrew McCutchen brought him home with a double immediately after that. And that has been the only damage done by either offense here today. No balls and 2 strikes. Running that sinker down and away. 1-2. Perez with 37 pitches under his belt, 24 strikes and 13 balls. Coming back with the 7th pitch of this at bat. And he gets the roller out to Alberto. 1 gone. Well, Mercer's retired. Andrew McCutchen coming up, but first we're going to send it over to Aaron Hardigan for a Chevy game break.
Center fielder Andrew McCutchen.
All right, Aaron, thank you. And Martin Perez, as you would assume, at it again with the ground balls. That was his 5th ground ball out. Only 1 out in the air so far. That was a pop-up by Sean Rodriguez. Andrew McCutchen had the RBI double, driving in his 23rd run of the year back in the first inning. McCutchen with that average now up to 262. Tied up on that pitch down and in, 94 miles an hour on the heater. And Martin Perez started to execute his pitches at will. One ball and 2 strikes.
And Martin's velocity has been climbing. It reaches as high as 96 in his last start. Toward the end of his start, almost every pitch he threw was 94 to 96 miles an hour. So he's got that in the tank. And his changeup and his curveball are coming along nicely too.
Tried the inside, didn't miss by much. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Martin presenting a pretty calm exterior out there on the hill. Beltre to Moreland. 2 gone. Adrian Beltre, we talked about him in our little pregame discussion. Aaron Hardigan and company on Rangers Live. And oldest everyday third baseman in the American League. And he has the best fielding percentage. He's played the 2nd most innings of any third baseman. He just shows no signs of slowing down. As a matter of fact, and Tom, you mentioned it, maybe playing better defense now than he has in the last several years.
Yeah, he's healthier than he has been over the last couple of years, and I'm sure that has something to do with it. But as far as agility, arm strength, the ability to catch bad hops, you name it, he's as good now as ever.
Right center field off the bat of David Freese, deep up the alley and gone. Freese puts it into the Ranger bullpen. First pitch home run. It is 2-0 Pittsburgh.
Well, you're hoping that that ball hits off the top of the wall and comes back for a 2-out extra base hit. It looked like that might happen to it, as hard as it was hit and on a line. But Freese hit it hard enough just to sneak it over the top of the wall. It's a fastball, 94 miles an hour. inside part of the plate. Freese goes the other way to right center field and just makes some real solid contact with it.
Well, for David Freese, home run number 4. The Pirates extend their lead to 2-0. Jung-Ho Kang is the hitter. Kang went down on strikes his first time. He's ahead of the count here. 2 balls and no strikes. Martin Perez, not, as you can understand, not very thrilled with the outcome of that pitch to David Freese. Beltre on the run, low throw, and Moreland can't dig it out. Kang is going to be aboard, and that's going to be an error, I would imagine, on Adrian Beltre. Kind of got caught in between there. Footwork had him going back, and then he had to hurry the throw as he picked it up. And it looked like he threw a sinker over to Moreland.
I would have to guess, based on the way he caught that ball, that he didn't have a good grip on it when he went to throw it. And it came back in his glove. He had to work to get it out. He might even had 3 fingers on the ball. And Mitch wasn't able to scoop it, which he does very well.
Well, Beltre's second error of the year. For the Rangers, is their 25th error of 2016. They came in second in the American League in fielding percentage. Gang at first. Starling Marte down on the count after the foul ball. Marte grounded into a fielder's choice back in the first. It's that kind of a tough series. He was hit on the foot by a Cole Hamels pitch the other night. He's hit a couple of foul balls off his feet, off his legs. 0-2. Freese's home run, the 48th for the Pirates this year. You get a look in from our RF camera that roams around Globe Life Park. Gives you great views of the sight lines, various sight lines around. It's right behind the left field foul pole. We're very close to it. Force at second. That'll take care of the Pirates. They get a run on Freese's home run, a run on 1 hit, an error, and 1 man left after 2.5. Pittsburgh 2, Texas 0. TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you could come to expect and a lot more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Just visit MLB.tv for details. The Rangers down by a couple now as Brian Holiday leads off here at the bottom of the third inning. Holiday, Alberto, and then back to the top of the order for Jurickson Profar. Brian Holiday, a .230 average, as you can see, with a home run and 8 driven in. Right down the third base line, a fair ball, and that's going to be in for extra bases. Well, Brian Holiday found a vacancy right down the line for a two-bagger.
Yeah, it looked like he hit it right off the end of the bat. Don had no chance to get it, even though it wasn't hit all that hard, because it basically rolls right by the bag. It looked like a changeup. Brian looked like he faked the bunt the first time, hit that one right off the end of the bat, so instead of a bunt single, he gets a double.
Saw that first bounce too off the grass and kicked back to the right a little bit. So
yeah, I think that was all that spin it had
Yeah.
on it. That was a weird bounce. Generally, you see a ball going in that angle and it ends up going foul. That one curved back to the right.
So a leadoff double. Man at second, nobody out. Hanser Alberto gets the butt down. Liriano has one play. That's the first. Nice job by Hanser. On to third goes Holiday. Sacrifice goes 1-3. And now Jurickson Profar will be at the plate trying to get Brian Holiday home.
That's one of the scoring opportunities that against a guy who's pitching as well as Liriano that you need to take advantage of. Mentioned that Liriano's walked 30 in 52 innings coming into the game, about 5 per 9 innings. He hadn't walked anybody so far through 9 hitters.
Profar trying to tie this ball game with one swing.
That's the swing to get loose. Now put one in play and get that run in.
Profar dumped a single into center field as he led the game off for the Rangers today. Well, he is 4 out of 10 in his 4 games. A little reminder from Liriano that, hey, if you're going to swing that hard and fall across home plate, you might want to put it in play. Up the end of the bat, that's not going to get Holiday home as Freese fields it right next to the bag, steps on first. There are now 2 outs. It'll be up to Ian Desmond if the Rangers are to score here in the third inning.
Yeah, Brian wanted to go on contact, but with the ball being hit to one of the corner infielders, there's not much he could do. Infielders were back up the middle, but not on the corners.
Desmond flying deep to left field his first time, and he shoots one to the right side. Nice play by Rodriguez to throw him out from a sitting position. So a very quick inning, looked promising, but turned out to be nothing for the Rangers. After 3, 2-0 Pittsburgh. nice Sunday afternoon on this Memorial Day weekend. Pirates leading the Rangers 2-0 in the early going. They come to bat here to start off the 4th inning against Martin Perez. Good crowd on hand here this afternoon. Looks to be in the neighborhood of 40,000 or so. Hope you all are enjoying your Memorial Day holiday. Francisco Cervelli will start things off for the Pirates. Cervelli, the designated hitter this afternoon, takes inside for ball 1. Cervelli a ground ball to short, his first time. Pirates 2 runs on 3 hits. Rangers no runs on 2 hits. 1 ball and 1 strike. Cervelli hitting at .255. He is still looking for his first home run of the year. He has 20 RBI. Cervelli is 2 for his last 14 times to the plate. And Clint Hurdle giving his starting catcher a partial day off, letting him DH today. I believe in the count. Martin Perez not wasting much time between pitches. Still 2-2. One thing, that's one part of Martin's game that Doug Brocail has stressed to him about the tempo, keeping that tempo going. Not that you're rushing yourself, but you don't want to stand out there and walk around too much and take a lot of time between pitches. If you get into that good rhythm, you can maintain it a lot easier. Fastball sails high. So a full count now to Cervelli. He is trying to get a board to open up this 4th inning. Sean Rodriguez, the second baseman, will follow. Payoff pitch on the way. Left center field. That's going to be down for a base hit. Desmond gets the ball back in. Cervelli with a leadoff single. And it brings up Rodriguez with a man on and nobody out.
Yep, Cervelli worked the count for a fastball, and the team said, I'm going to give you a good fastball. I'm not going to walk you. And Cervelli hit that pitch right down the middle and hit it hard to center field. He was able to cut it off, so it was only a single. And Martin in position to do what he's done so many times this year. 17 times, as a matter of fact, get a ground ball double play.
There's Rodriguez, who popped out to second his first time. Trying to take it the other way, and it's back into the seats. Be careful, a guy like Rodriguez, who handles the bat pretty well. Even though Cervelli doesn't have great speed, it candidate for a hit and run. Clint Hurdle likes to use that speed up and down his lineup if he possibly can. Perez a check of first. Took something off and had Rodriguez out in front of it. No balls and 2 strikes. Perez planting that push-off foot right there in front of the rubber, getting ready to throw his 60th pitch of the afternoon. Just missed a little bit low, but our Steel pitch tracker would have a little bit of a disagreement with Clint Fagan on that.
Yeah, I would say over the last week that's been a strike way more often than not. Bottom of the strike zone.
Yeah, that was one thing I started to ask you the other night and didn't finish it, about the proposed change of the strike zone from the hollow below the kneecap to the top of the kneecap that baseball is thinking about implementing for next year.
Yeah, I think it's an obvious decision if it goes through to help the hitter and hurt the pitcher. Can't imagine there's going to be a pitcher that likes it, especially a guy like Martin Perez, who pounds the strike zone with low sinking fastballs.
Right.
And that's part of his game, and the new strike zone, if that goes into effect, will cause him to raise those pitches 3 or 4 inches and give the hitter a little bit better chance.
Now they're going to couple that with eliminating the intentional base on balls. Just go ahead and point to first, let the guy go down there.
Yeah, I guess tradition says that you don't like that, and it's almost an automatic thing, but every now and then you see a wild pitch on an intentional walk, and gets to make the highlights, and everybody watches it and kind of laughs at the pitcher. But I guess overall, if you looked at the intentional walk, I'd just soon keep it the way it is, but it's not something you'd cause a fight over, I guess.
If the intent by eliminating that is to speed the game up, which for all intents and purposes that's what it is, why would you shrink the strike zone? Then you're going to cause more pitches to be thrown. Right center field, long run from Mazara and Desmond. It falls in. Mazara gets the ball back in. The stop sign is put up for Cervelli at third. A looping double by Sean Rodriguez, and the Pirates now have runners at second and third and nobody out for Matt Joyce.
Yeah, as long as that fly ball stayed up in the air, there was a large gap between the outfielders before that ball was put in play. It's a hanging curveball that you can see that Mazara is probably shaded a little bit right of straightaway. Desmond was shaded a little bit left of second base, and that huge gap allowed that fly ball. Had a lot of hang time to it, but based on where the outfielders were, they couldn't come close to it.
Well, Rodriguez with the double. And for the Pirates now, that's their second double of the game, their third extra base hit of the game out of 5 that they have altogether. Matt Joyce drew a walk his first time to the plate. That sinking, tailing fastball that Martin Perez likes to throw to left-handers, and got Joyce to swing at it.
Yeah, the last couple of games, especially the last game, that was a really good pitch for him. He threw it in there one right after the other. 94, 95 miles an hour. Got to break it out. Now's a great time to do it.
A fair ball. Moreland able to step on the bag and also keep Cervelli at third.
That was not an easy pickup either. It wasn't a hard hit ball, but it was not an easy hop. He had to backhand a short hop. If he'd catch it in the air, it would have been easy, but that ball bounced in front of him. Mitch had to do a really nice job of catching that short hop, being able to step on the bag and keep the runner at third in his eyesight as well.
One very big out, and now with Chris Stewart up there, the Rangers will pull the infield in with runners at second and third. Stewart grounded into a fielder's choice that ended the second inning. Rangers in at the cut of the grass with the exception of Adrian Beltre. Hot shot. Profar goes down to a knee to make the catch. Gets the out at first. Hanser Alberto had snuck in behind Sean Rodriguez at second, was calling for the ball. And Profar wanted to make sure and get the one out.
Yeah, he must not have seen him because the guy at second was about 10 feet off the bag. Yeah, he just, I don't know if he ever picked up Hanser or not.
Right.
Maybe he never saw him. And so when in doubt, you know, nothing wrong with 2 outs. Get that 1 out, get the sure thing. Difference between a man at second or a man at first, but when in doubt, get the out. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, 2 away now. A couple of critical ground balls have gotten the outs. Jordy Mercer, 1 out of 2. Takes the breaking ball a bit low. Martin Perez forced to work out of some difficulty, or at least try to, here in the 4th inning. Had to last inning. Ranger infield with 2 outs, back at normal depth. Perez continuing to work from the stretch. 2 balls, no strikes.
Yeah, under the new strike zone, that's a borderline pitch right there. Sometimes you would get that call. If the new strike zone did go into effect, that ball wouldn't even be close to being a strike.
Yeah, our bottom line on our steel pitch tracker would come up about half of that bottom rectangle. And that is low, 3-0. Well, Mercer, the leadoff man in today's order, trying to get aboard to load the bases. You have Andrew McCutchen, number 2 hitter, waiting. Perez with a 3-0. Martin, deep breath, big sigh, and he has maintained his composure pretty well, I think. I haven't seen a change in body language. Out of play, full count. Before, when Martin would get into a tight spot, boy, his mannerisms would be a lot quicker, take a lot more walks behind the mound, take his cap off. Just look very fidgety. Now you don't see that. And the crowd trying to lend their support to Martin Perez and the Rangers. Payoff pitch on the way. We'll try it one more time. Look in from the upper home run porch in right center field. Brian Holiday out to talk to Martin Perez briefly. We're getting ready for the 7th pitch of the at-bat. Runners at 2nd and 3rd and 2 out. Big moment in this ball game. Call strike 3. 95 Anthony's, and Martin Perez works out of a 2nd and 3rd no-out jam with nothing across. Bottom of the 4th coming up. Martin Perez got Mercer looking. 2-0 Pittsburgh. Take a look at this afternoon's greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. Well, Mike Trout hit his 150th career home run last night against the Astros. One of just 8 players now, all time, to have 150 or more home runs and score 500 runs before their age 25 season. And the Cleveland Indians, 5 stolen bases yesterday in an 11-4 win over the Baltimore Orioles. The Indians lead the AL Central by a half game over the Royals and the White Sox. Well, Prince Fielder leading off for the Rangers here in the bottom of the fourth. It'll be Fielder, Beltre, and Mazzara to face Liriano. Prince went down swinging the first time. Hammers one to right field. It is deep. It is on the way. Goodbye.
And the monkey is off. The big guy's back finally.
The first home run for Prince Fielder in his last 35 ball games. Going back to the 19th of April. And he drove a pitch off Liriano into the lower home run porch. It is now a 2-1 Pirate lead.
Well, Liriano's tough to score on. The Rangers had a chance last inning, man on third and one out, but the big guy took it in his own hands to get that run on the board, leading off the fourth inning. That's good to see. And third straight game, Prince has hit a ball extremely hard. Last couple days, it's been a line shot each day for a double, and today he gets it up in the air a little bit. The other balls were hit just as hard as this, maybe harder. This one, though, he got the trajectory right and dropped it in the seats.
Beltre almost screwing himself into the ground with that swing. Adrian dropping down to a knee and then some. 1 ball and 1 strike. Prince Fielder with his 3rd home run of the year. Now with 26 RBI. He's cut the lead in half.
That was a big half inning for Martin Perez. A lot of guys feeling good for Prince. Prince feels good, but there's a lot of guys, his teammates, that admire him and feel good for him too. Martin getting out of that 2nd and 3rd no-out jam. That was huge to keep the game close.
If you're playing behind Perez or you're sitting there watching him from the bench, does that kind of fire you up too?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially at night. You know, you're talking about, Buzz, that he's been able to calm things down. In addition to that, when he's been in trouble, you've seen his best stuff against the Angels, and then in that inning, when he needed it, he was throwing 96 miles an hour with his fastball and punched out Jordy Mercer looking with a 95, 96 mile an hour fastball at the low part of the strike zone. So, and then pounded his glove and came off the field like that. Yeah, I definitely think that pumps his teammates up. Now, Prince has been around a long time. I don't think he needs anything to pump him up. Well, I'd feel pumped up if I were on the team watching that.
A little extra excitement never hurt anything.
Nope, absolutely.
No, Beltre's come back to work the count full. And he takes inside, ball 4. That is the first walk issued by Liriano this afternoon. And Nomar Mazzara coming up.
Mentioned that he's walking about 5 guys per 9 innings. In his last start, he didn't pitch 9 innings, but he walked 5 guys. Well, maybe get a little bit out of kilter after the home run and walk a few more.
Mazzara had a foul pop the first time to the plate. Nomar hitting at .314. There's that front door cutter / slider from Liriano for strike 1. Infield pulled around to the right, but not in a complete overshift against Mazzara. And he hits one high in the air to right field. Joyce is back, but it's going to die at the edge of the warning track.
Yeah, hit that ball just barely off the end of the bat, enough to keep it in the ballpark. He had the swing, the trajectory, just didn't have the contact on the sweet spot of the bat. Pitch took a little bit off this pitch. Looked like maybe a hanging cutter. Location was great to hit, but the speed fooled him just enough to not make solid contact. I thought he got that one.
Well, 1 out. Beltre still at first. Here's Ryan Rua. 1 ball, no strikes. Here's a closer look at that, Tom.
You see it just enough off the end to make it go 340 feet instead of 390 feet. Rua,
a strikeout back in the 2nd inning.
And Liriano doesn't give up a lot of home runs to left-hand hitters. That would have been 2 in 1 inning.
Mazzara walking around that Ranger dugout. That pitch is low, the 50th of the afternoon for Liriano, and he has fallen behind Ryan Rua now, 3 balls and no strikes. Rua batting 6th in the order. Mitch Moreland, the Ranger first baseman, will follow. A 2-1 Pirates lead. Rangers have made more noise here in the 4th than the rest of the afternoon combined, and they now have 2 runners aboard, both on the walk. The first 2 walks of the inning get the Rangers going here with 1 out. Quick reminder for you, the next post-game fireworks show is this Friday. That's June 3rd, presented by Dairy Max. Fans using the online coupon code FIREWORKS can get upper reserve tickets to the Friday night game. The Mariners are in town, by the way. Just $14. Visit TexasRangers.com. Get your tickets today for that big series starting next Friday. See a lot of red out here at the ballpark that weekend. First place Mariners, at least at the start of today, coming in. And here's Moreland, who was called out as strikes his first time. And he blocks one. That is on its way. Real deep goodbye.
That's up in Nomar Mazzara territory. That one went above the exit. Looked like it was going to go on the roof. And Liriano got away with a hanger to Mazzara, but he didn't get away with that hanger. Mitch hit that one about 450 feet. No doubt about that one. 2 home runs in 1 inning by left-hand hitters, almost 3 in 1 inning by left-hand hitters. And Liriano went from a comfortable lead, pitching great, to getting touched up this inning, and both of the walks hurt him.
Moreland with 1 swing of the bat turned it around. It's 4-2 Rangers. Home runs on consecutive days for Mitch Moreland.
It looked like a fastball. Was that a fastball?
I couldn't tell.
I couldn't tell either on the replay.
I didn't look at the radar gun.
I didn't see the radar gun either.
It went far enough for one.
That was a fastball off the bat, though. That's above that exit there. Mazzara's was above the exit. A little bit to the left of that. Hit the post up there. Let's see if we get the tail of the tape for that one. Got the fans buzzing, though.
Yeah.
Quiet start to the game through 3 innings.
Boom.
That's got that sound. Liriano looked up, probably couldn't find the ball. It was gone so far, but he heard it.
Brian Holiday, a swing and a miss. It's now 3 balls and 2 strikes. Mitch Moreland the last 2 days taking out a lot of that pent-up frustration that a 1 for 27 will bring in.
Well, 2 key guys in the Ranger lineup are obviously Prince and Mitch, and they've struggled, but Prince now for the 3rd straight day has hit a ball extremely hard. Mitch for the 2nd straight day has hit a home run. The offense suddenly looks a whole lot better when Prince and Mitch get hot.
Jeff Bannister would tell you it makes him a smarter manager, too.
Well, you know, he's the one that's sticking with the guys.
That's right.
He knows they're veteran guys. He knows their track record, and he will tell you he's got confidence that they're going to come around. But even if you're a veteran player, there's times where you get in a slump, you lose your confidence, and you appreciate the fact that the manager believes in you and doesn't give you too many days off. Keeps writing your name in there. You're out there going, man, if he believes in me, I believe in myself.
Yeah. And that can be a problem, can it?
Sure.
Even for a veteran player at
even
times.
Veteran players, yeah. No matter how strong your mental part of the game is, there's times where 162 games in a 6-month season can try your confidence.
2-1 the count to Alberto.
Nothing like having success to get that confidence back.
Yeah. Hanser laid down a sacrifice bunt back in the 3rd inning. And he's gone on strikes here. Mariano gets the punch out, his 4th of the afternoon, but the Rangers make some noise. How about Prince Fielder and Mitch Moreland going deep into the home run porch? After 4, Rangers 4, Pirates 2. On Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by Mazda. In every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. Well, the Rangers put themselves back in the driver's seat with 2 swings of the bat. Prince Fielder and Mitch Moreland went deep. The Rangers now lead it 4-2. A little looping line drive out to Jurickson Profar, who is on the shortstop side of second. McCutchen is out number 1 on 1 pitch.
First baseman David Freese.
Profar handles that. Martin Perez now will face David Freese, who homered into the Ranger bullpen his last time up. Martin probably had to look up the scoreboard, make sure he wasn't misreading it. The 4 spot on the board. He hasn't seen many outbursts like that from his club this year. I mentioned the Rangers being sued for lack of support.
Well,
or could have been.
He'll answer that support with about a 6-pitch inning.
1-1 to Freese.
Did some great pitching to get out of that 4th inning.
Yep.
2nd and 3rd and nobody out. That gave the Rangers a chance to score those 4 and take the lead.
1-2. Coming into play today, the Rangers have averaged 2.39 runs in support of Martin Perez. That's the 2nd lowest in all of baseball. That's up the middle. Profar handling that tricky hop. Throws out Freese. That is out number 2 before Gunn comes up. Let's send it down to Emily Jones.
Well, guys, in case you haven't heard, Yu Darvish has returned to the Rangers, and to celebrate Yu's return, Fox Sports Southwest is offering fans $11 upper box and upper reserve tickets. That's a savings of more than 50%. Offer good for games June 6th through 9th and June 20th through 22nd. They will go fast, so go to TexasRangers.com/specials to get your tickets. Again, that's $11 tickets, guys.
All right, Em. Special offer, and it should be a dandy. Get you back in the fold. Nice to see him. Boy, what a shot in the arm that was for him yesterday for the ball club. Went out there in 5 outstanding innings with 7 strikeouts. Gong to Beltre. A very quick and tidy 7-pitch. 1-2-3, 5th inning. That is a shutdown inning. Halfway through the ball game at Goldvine Park. Rangers 4, Pirates 2. trying to make this a very memorable Sunday afternoon on this Memorial Day weekend. A 4-2 Ranger lead, courtesy of a 4-spot with 2 bombs in the 4th inning. Martin Perez went out and had a 7-pitch 5th. 1-2-3 outing of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now the Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the 5th. Jurickson Profar in the top of the order to face Francisco Liriano. Liriano showing a couple of cracks in the armor last inning. Issued the 2 walks to Beltre and Rua, both of them coming around to score on Mitch Moreland's home run. Jurickson Profar is 1 for 2. Had a 1st inning single. In the 3rd inning, hit a chopper to 1st. Steel pitch tracker showing you that last pitch from Liriano right at the bottom of the strike zone. Gong, the 3rd baseman, 4 out, number 1. And before Ian Desmond steps in, let's again check in with Jim Knox.
Oh, I appreciate it, Buzz. The Fox Sports Fan Express rolled in from the big town of Abilene this afternoon. On hand, family and friends of Suddenlink Communications. How was that big drive over?
Oh, it wasn't too bad here in Abilene. It's a good time to be down here. Great baseball weather today.
There you go. Great baseball. You guys having a good time and eating plenty of great food here. Look at that big guy. All right, you enjoy the game, and even a mini U Darver stole a ride on the bus there, Buzz. Look at that, huh? Turn around there, big guy.
Wow.
Not bad, huh?
That's a look-alike.
That is a look-alike. Go Rangers. That's right. Go Rangers. There we go.
That's great.
He needs to grow about a foot, but
yeah,
man, he's got the look down.
Yeah, very, very good. Very good. Yeah, that's about right, Knox. You're right about there.
And that guy looks like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Ian Desmond, a little topper foul. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count now.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, I appreciate it, huh?
That little baseball was holding up about the size of the baseball it looked like to some of the hitters that Darvish faced last night. One of those little tiny ones up there. Little looper to right field. That is going to fall for a base hit. And Desmond has his first safety of the afternoon. So Ian aboard with 1 out. Now Prince Fielder will come up.
And as always, Ian's a threat to steal second base. He's 10 out of 11 stealing bases so far. Love to get your guys with speed on base in a close game. See if they can make something happen.
I'll guarantee you, he's probably thinking about it. He said, I didn't have any of those fall in when I was hitting $109.
No, he didn't. But 109, that's a distant memory.
Yep.
Zeroing in on 300 now. Been hitting about 350 or 360 ever since then.
Prince Fielder has struck out and homered today. That home run snapping a long dry spell going back to April the 19th for Prince Fielder. 35 ball games between home runs for Prince. Desmond inching off the bag as Liriano checks it. 1 ball and no strikes. Our AT&T high-speed internet replay will take you back to that 4th inning blast. Big relief for Prince Fielder and for the Rangers. I would imagine Jeff Bannister's probably happy that he won't have to answer any more questions about Prince Fielder's drought. Check swing, he went around anyway. 1-1. Well, Fielder now with that home run, hitting at a 199 clip. 3 home runs, now 26 RBI. 2-1.
Coming into this season, Liriano had only given up 12 home runs to left-handed batters in over 1,100 at bats. He's been very difficult, at least as far as the long ball goes, against left-hand hitters. Both Mitch and Prince got him in the same inning, and Nomar almost got him.
2-2. No, without looking any further, I know he's at least up to 14 now.
That's right. I'm not sure if he's given up any this year or not. I'll look that up. Other than those two.
Pirates in that overshift with Prince up there. Desmond at first with 1 out.
Now this season, those were the first 2 by a left-hander.
To second, back to first, 4-6-3 double play, and that will end the Ranger 5th inning. No runs, a hit, and nobody left. On to the 6th we go at Globe Life Park. Rangers 4, Pirates 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Park next Saturday. That's June 4th. Rangers will be taking on the Mariners. The second game of that 3-game series. The first 7,500 kids, 13 and under, will get a Dairy Max 3/4 sleeve AL West Champions t-shirt. Get your tickets by visiting TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972 Rangers. He's going to be there. Make sure you all are. Starling Marte to start things off, and going to try to bunt his way aboard. It's a foot race and no chance for Martin Perez to beat him. Little bit of a hesitation for Perez, who, after going toward the ball, didn't veer straight toward the bag early enough. And even though he got a good feed from Mitch, Marte's good speed enabled him to reach with a leadoff bunt single. Tough unless you take a perfect route to the bag to beat a guy as quick as Starling Marte.
Yeah, Marte can fly. And on a bunt, he's out of the box in a hurry, too.
The 1-on to start the 6th inning. Francisco Cervelli, 1 out of 2. Pirates now with 6 base hits. Rangers with 5. Cervelli had a single his last time up.
Haven't had a ground ball double play yet. That's unusual. Martin's 11th start. Had 17 of them in 10 starts coming into this game.
Marte stepping off that lead at first. Cervelli waiting. And looking at the league leaders, a very large lead. 5 double plays turned. Martin Perez has over Jay Happ. These Shields, Martinez behind. 11 ground outs today for Martin Perez. Only a couple of outs in the air. He could use one right here, but he's fallen behind Cervelli at 2 balls and no strikes. Marte with very good speed, but in a 2-run ball game doesn't pose as big a threat as if you were closer. 1-run or tied game. Martin Perez right now has to make sure that he stops Marte from getting a walking lead. That's about it. He can focus on making a quality pitch to Cervelli. '85th pitch of the afternoon coming up. And it's a little bit low, 3-1. Well, Cervelli hitting 6th. He'll be followed by the second baseman, Sean Rodriguez. To right field, Mazara has to play it on a hop. Stopping at second is Marte. Omar did a pretty good job of playing that tough hop and not letting it get by him. But first and second, nobody out before Sean Rodriguez comes out. We're going to take you back to our studios, back to Aaron Hardigan for a Chevy game break.
Second baseman Sean Rodriguez.
All right, Aaron, thank you. Doug Brocail, a quick visit to the mound. See if he can redirect the flow of this inning. Martin Perez giving up the bunt base hit, but then fell behind Cervelli. And Cervelli, both singles have come when he's been ahead of the count, 3-1. Puffy white clouds now, shooting overhead, and the threat of rain later on this afternoon or this evening, but certainly not in the immediate future. John Rodriguez is 1 for 2. Had a double into right center field his last time up. Rangers getting their bunt defense set in case there is one. No bunt shown. It's ball 1. Rangers up at the corners, both Beltre and Moreland, as you noticed. Perez checks the runners. The 1-0 pitch. Popped up. Going out Profar, coming on Mazara. And Mazara makes the call and the catch for out number 1. I didn't see the infield fly rule called that time.
No, I didn't see it either.
I think the umpires did a good job of waiting to see if it was going to be an infielder.
I think if they saw Profar get all the way back, come in a little bit, waiting underneath it, they would have called it. But I think they saw what was happening, that it was going to be a tough play for Profar, and they didn't call it too soon. Big out. No sacrifice bunt.
Yep.
Trying to pitch out of a 2-man on, no out jam for the second time in 3 innings.
So Marte and Cervelli still at second and first. 1 away from Matt Joyce, who is 0 for 1 with a walk.
Well, Joyce has been a tough out this year. He's walked 13 times. His on-base percentage is .459. Last year for the Angels, Joyce hit .174 with 247 at bats. Well, he's making a nice little comeback this year. Not playing every day, but when he does, he's been productive.
Pick off at second, and just getting that hand back in. Starly Marte, excellently timed pickoff attempt between Hanser Alberto and Martin Perez. Daylight play. You saw daylight between Alberto and the runner. Marte, and that's what the pitcher's looking for. That's where the term daylight play comes in. See that infielder breaking behind the runner. If there's daylight once he clears the runner between he and the guy at second, you've got a shot at him. Didn't really want to, and again, Martin Perez going to his bread and butter down there. 0-2 to Matt Joyce. Not much left-handers have been able to do with that.
Best thing they can do is take it and hope it's called a ball.
Runners on the move. The pitch is taken, and Marte steals third standing up. Cervelli, though, left at first.
Yeah, Cervelli did go. That's where Brian was aiming at second base. Marte, seen him steal second a couple of times. Doesn't get a huge lead. Really didn't have a big lead and a walking lead. Man, he gets to full speed in a hurry.
Yes, he does. One's chop foul. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Well, Perez now up over 90 pitches this afternoon. 92 thus far. Pittsburgh this afternoon 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. This is the 4th at bat that they have had with a runner at third. So far they're 0 for 3. Got him swinging. And Martin Perez staying right down there, down and in to Joyce, and he gets the big punch out. 2 gone.
Oh, that's a huge strikeout right there. And on third with less than 2 outs, and there's that pitch. Sinking fastball down and in. Beautiful pitch. Martin for the 2nd game in a row trying to pitch out of a jam in the 6th inning. Probably be his last inning. That's what he did against the Angels. Had a tough inning. Had his best stuff of the game. Pitched out of that jam. Trying to do it again right here.
Tony Barnett, as you saw out there in the Ranger bullpen, he is ready if needed.
Let's hope he's ready to start the 7th inning.
Here's Chris Stewart. He was grounded out twice today. The bunt, it's down the third baseline, but it's going to go foul. It hit the cut of the grass, and just enough to push it into foul territory.
Now, we've seen some stay right on that white line. Fortunately, that one had a little spin on it, hit the grass, and curved foul. That was the element of surprise, and would have been a base hit.
You're the runner running by that. You got to kick a little dirt at it or something to push it back there, don't you?
Yeah. I don't think you get away with it now with
no, probably not.
With all our cameras. Maybe in the old days.
Inning by inning for Martin Perez. The 4th inning, his longest pitch count wise, but he worked around a single and double to open up the inning. 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, and he got the next 3 outs. He's trying to do a similar thing here. 1st and 2nd, nobody out. 0-1 the count to Chris Stewart. Out of play to the right. 0-2 now. Pirates with Starling Marte at third, Francisco Cervelli at first. And this big crowd at Globe Life Park getting behind Martin Perez and the Rangers. Texas on top 4-2. They want it to stay right there. Fastball straightens him up. 1 ball and 2 strikes. We saw this like you were talking about, Tom, the last time that Martin pitched his last inning, got into a little bit of a jam, and he really had enough to reach back and get out of it unscathed. Trying to again here. Just missed.
Good eye by Stewart. That had some good tailing action to it. Tough pitch to lay off of.
Just off the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 on and 2 out. And the Rangers leading by 2. 25-year-old left-hander Martin Perez nods in agreement. Pitch on the way to short. To second for the force, and Martin Perez again escapes damage with some great pitching. First and second, nobody out. A fly ball, a strikeout, and a ground out. And his teammates as pumped up as Martin Perez is. After 5.5, Rangers by 2. It's time now for the Sonic Slam Inning, brought to you by Sonic. Today's jackpot is worth $100 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Joe Prakel from Rowlett will win $100. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Joe is going to take home $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Got the fan out, got everything going. Keeping nice and cool on a warm afternoon, 88 degrees. And weather humid day here at Globe Life Park as Adrian Beltre starts things off and shoots that first pitch into the dugout of the Pirates. Now getting a little hitting lesson from Clint Hurdles. Hey, hit the ball the other way. Beltre has walked and scored, grounded into a fielder's choice. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rangers 4 runs on 5 hits.
Well, take that then.
That was a little further down the line. That was midway in the dugout. Adrian always has a running commentary going. Somebody. Liriano with a 1-2 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Francisco Liriano, his next pitch will be number 80 for this afternoon. Shot to right field by Beltre for a base hit.
That's a pretty good pitch to line into right field. Look like a changeup. Probably not a strike. But Adrian covered it with no problem. Second baseman shading up the middle. Ball shot into right field.
Folks, the Rangers face the Mariners, the final game of the 3-game set, a week from today. That's June 5th. First 15,000 fans 14 and older get a Cole Hamels t-shirt jersey courtesy of Dr. Pepper and Albertsons. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS if you would prefer. Here's Cole talking to Tony Beasley. Nice to see Tony. He's been up here this weekend catching up with the Rangers. Says he has one more course of chemotherapy to do, radiation therapy, and he will be finished with that. Await some more surgery coming up in August, and hopes to get back with the ball club after that.
We talk about a guy that's able to maintain a positive, optimistic outlook through it all. It's Tony Beasley.
Well, he's amazing.
He inspires everybody around him.
Yep. Yeah, and watching the guys interact with him in the clubhouse is really gratifying, you know, because they all appreciate that.
You walk into the clubhouse and see Tony Beasley with a smile on his face. Your headache or your fingernail or whatever's bothering you seems like a pretty trivial thing.
Yeah, and you know, we kind of get jaded in our viewpoints sometimes toward ball players, but to watch them be around Tony, it's like they open up their hearts and you know, just pour it out to Tony, how much they are pulling for him and how much they're behind him. It's great to see. Two 2-0 the count to Mazzara. Little tapper, just foul. And the count's 2-1. Let's go down to Emily Jones.
Well, Buzz and Tom, it's not just when Tony's here. Tony has commented a number of times how when he's in Houston and receiving his treatments and away from the team, text messages from all these guys on a daily basis to let him know that they're thinking about him. He said it means the world to him and helps on those long days because his treatments don't last for very long. So there's a lot of downtime. And so the constant, you know, text messages, phone calls, little things like that from those guys really do mean a lot and have helped speed up this process.
Thanks, Em. Yeah, it's a very caring bunch of guys, to say the least. And Tony is certainly the kind of guy you pull for and get to know him a little bit. He's one of the best people you'll ever get to know. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Mazzara. Beltre at first with a leadoff single. A 4-2 Ranger lead, looking to add more here in the 6th. Full count. Well, Mazzara able to run the string all the way out. Nomar will be followed by the Ranger left fielder, Ryan Rua. Liriano has walked 2 this afternoon. They both scored. They came back in the 4th inning. High and tight, ball 4. The phantom tag applied to Adrian Beltre, but Rangers have their first 2 aboard here in the 6th inning with Rua coming up.
Well, the walks really hurt Liriano back in the 4th inning. So did the home runs. He gave up 2 of each and 4 runs. 3rd walk of the game for Liriano. Walked 5 in his last start.
Going to get a visit from Ray Searage, pitching coach for the Pirates, on out to talk to him. And Rob Scahill, right-hander, up in the bullpen for Pittsburgh. Well, 86 pitches under his belt this afternoon, but again, the strike-to-ball ratio not where you'd want it. 48 strikes, 38 balls, and they've come in bunches. You mentioned the 2 walks in the 4th. That's when he lost command of the strike zone. Looked like he lost a little bit of it here. And that's the way it's been. We've seen Martin Perez kind of go through the same thing. You sail along fine for a while, and then it gets out of kilter, and you all of a sudden can't put it back together very quickly.
I guess that's one thing nice about Martin the last few starts is he's been able to avoid that.
Yep.
Today's Martin's first start where he's walked less than 2 batters. He's had several starts where he's walked 2, but I believe he only walked 1 today.
Ryan Rua drew one of those 2 walks in the 4th. Came around to score on Moreland's home run. And he takes ball 2 low.
And be careful if you're Liriano right here. Obviously, you don't want to walk the bases loaded, but you don't want to serve up a fastball to Ryan Rua either, who's pounded left-handed pitching pretty nicely this year.
Mitch Moreland in that on-deck circle. Would love to see the bases juiced. Changeup floats in. Yep. 2-1.
Give him that one. Looking for a fastball, throws your changeup down there. That's the best thing you can do is take it.
Beltre getting his lead right out there at second. He's trailed by Mazzara. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Infield, maybe a step to the left for Rua. In at double play depth, both Rodriguez and Mercer. Check swing, it's a little bit low, 3-2. Liriano working himself into a big jam here. Hurdle checking his notes, and now Liriano, the payoff pitch. Outside, ball 4, and that's going to load him up.
Good eye. Very
good job by Ryan Ruin not to expand the strike zone. And with our sonic slam inning in force, how about Mitch Moreland's last time up against Liriano? Well, the bases weren't loaded, there were 2 on, but that'll be maybe a preview of this at bat. Joe Brachill of Rowlett is on the edge of the seat right now. $25,000 if Mitch leaves the ballpark with it. One ball, no strikes.
Liriano's thrown 93 pitches, almost the same amount of strikes and balls. 50 strikes, 43 balls. First 3 innings was not like that, but he had a bad 4th, and now he's struggling here in the 6th.
Clint Hurdle, a close eye on things. The 1-0 pitch. A ball and a strike. A single by Beltre opened the inning, then back-to-back walks of Mazzara and Rua. Liriano getting ready to throw his 20th pitch in this inning. He has not recorded an out. One and 2. Martin Perez, a very interested spectator at the moment. Is the pitcher of record. Whether he goes out for the next inning or not, we will have to wait to find out. And Moreland foul tips it into the glove of Chris Stewart. That is out number 1. The 5th strikeout for Liriano. And I guess now the choice is does Clint Hurdle let him stay in to face the right-hander Brian Holiday? He is going to. The bases loaded, 1 away. Holiday 1 for 2 with a double right down the third base line, his first time up. Liriano will continue working from the stretch. To center field. Beltre is tagging at third. McCutchen with a catch. The throw lobbed into the shortstop. Beltre jogs down the line and scores. The sacrifice fly by Holiday makes it a 5-2 Ranger lead.
Good job by Bryant. Got the ball up in the air and hit it hard. Did his job. Catchers continue to do the job offensively and defensively. That's a pretty good pitch. It looked like a changeup. Pretty much exactly where Liriano wanted to throw it. Trying to get a double play grounder. Instead, he got a sacrifice fly. A double and an RBI sacrifice fly for Bryant today.
The runners now at first and second with 2 outs. And Hanser Alberto chops one at the plate foul for strike 1. Alberto has laid down a sacrifice bunt and struck out 0 for 1. Hanser, as we have talked about from time to time, the leading hitter in the Dominican Winter League this past year. 0-2. Liriano, check of the runners. Got him swinging. Well, the Rangers in a bases loaded situation with nobody out. Score a run on a hit and a couple of walks. They leave 2. We go to the 7th inning. It's now the Rangers 5, the Pirates 2. Ford game summary, and it started off very difficult as Andrew McCutchen drove home a run, second hitter into the ballgame. McCutchen with the RBI double. But then the Rangers came back. Prince Fielder led off the fourth inning with a blast to right field, his first home run in 35 games. Then a couple of walks later, Mitch Moreland had liftoff going to right field into the upper home run porch, a 3-run blast. Rangers at that point led 4-2. They added a run in the bottom of the sixth to make it 5-2. And Martin Perez finished for the afternoon after 6 very good innings of work. Gives way to Matt Bush. Matt Bush, who worked yesterday, worked an inning, gave up a couple of hits, but no damage in the run column. His 9th appearance since being called up on the 13th. Top of the order, Jody Mercer takes a strike at the knees. Mercer today a double to lead off the ball game. Came around to score, and also has grounded out and struck out. Tapper and Matt Bush, little underhand toss to Moreland. Looked like the cutter slash slider from Matt Bush.
Get that leadoff hitter. Keep men off base for the middle of the lineup. Minimize your pitches. Rangers used 4 relievers in Yu Darvish's win yesterday. Matt pitched an inning and threw 16 or 17 pitches, pitching on back-to-back days. Had a couple of days off, pitched 3 days in a row before that. So he's showing that he's strong and durable.
Andrew McCutchen had the RBI double in the first. Since then has grounded out. A little soft line drive to short. Takes that slider on the outside. That was a curveball.
Yep.
Strike one. McCutchen yesterday, watching him face Matt Bush, first time he'd seen him, had a little trouble staying on the ball.
Yeah, that breaking ball was pretty tough.
1-1 the count. Out of play, a ball and 2 strikes. Rangers were in an overshift to the left with McCutchen, but now with 2 strikes, Jurickson Profar, the second baseman, goes back to a more conventional position at second. Moves back on the first base side of second base. Bush with a pitch, and McCutchen hits a towering fly ball foul down the left side. McCutchen, a .259 hitter. Told you before the ball game all the accolades that Andrew McCutchen has had. One of the best all-around players in the National League. 2-2, able to lay off that curveball. Ryan Holiday flashing the signs out. Matt Bush says, yep, we'll do that. 3-2. McCutchen, the number 2 hitter in Claire Hurdle's order. David Freese, the first baseman, follows. Now Bush with a payoff pitch. Matt with a new baseball, a little walk around the mound, getting back up on top. 30-year-old right-hander out of San Diego, ready to go. And another chopper foul. And Looking out at the scoreboard, Tom, since you said it's not too early in the year to watch the scoreboard, I'll watch it a little bit.
Okay.
Twins 3-2 lead over the Seattle Mariners. Twins have won 2 in a row over Seattle.
Twins went into Seattle 12-34. They've won 2 straight games.
Now back just below us. Still 3-2, and this is going to be at least a 10 pitch at bat. As McCutchen, once he got to 3-2, is fouling off pitch after pitch. McCutchen back in. Matt Bush reading the signs. Another foul ball. Now the Rangers putting on a very big insurance run to make that a 3-run lead. The score in the bottom of the 6th inning. Beltre to his left, gobbles it up nicely. That 11 pitch at bat, won by Matt Bush and the Rangers. 2 gone. Well, folks, the Silver Boot Series presented by the Texas Lottery resumes in Arlington on Monday, June 6th. Rangers take on the Astros in the first of 4. And the first 15,000 fans 14 and older will receive a Fox Sports Southwest Airlines Rangers cap. Get your ticket today at TexasRangers.com. It's the only cap giveaway of the season. So make sure you're out here to watch the starting game of that Silver Boot Series. 2 away. Here's David Freese. 0-1. David Freese 1 for 3. That won a home run off of Martin Perez into the Ranger bullpen in right center. Now down on the count to Matt Bush at no balls and 2 strikes. And Matt consistently 95, 96 in the last several outings. I wondered a guy that had laid off as long as Matt, how he would fare after being used a goodly amount of times, and he has shown no ill effects. Little looper, no, picked on the short out by Moreland. Toss on to Bush, and it's a quick 1-2-3 inning. 3 ground balls the Pirates are disposed of. Stretch time at the ballpark, Globe Life Park in Arlington, where the Rangers have a 5-2 lead over the Pirates. Now please join Chuck Morgan as he introduces God Bless America.
Will you please rise? And now in honor of all the veterans who have served our country and the servicemen and women who are currently stationed at home and around the world, we invite everyone at Globe Life Park to join in singing God Bless America.
Time now to take a look at our Coors Light Cold Hard Fact. The Rangers have scored 1,764 runs all time in interleague play, the second most in MLB history. Boston with the most at 1831. The Rangers have found interleague play much to their liking. Cold Hard Fact is brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Well, Francisco Liriano's day has come to a close. He worked 6 innings, gave up all 5 runs on 6 hits, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. Rob Scahill, the 29-year-old right-hander, takes his place and turns Jurickson Profar around to bat from the left side. Fouls off the first pitch. Scahill appearing in his 11th ball game, 4.5 ERA, worked 8 innings. The league hitting .259 against him. Profar 1 for 3 today. A ball and a strike. Scahill, originally a member of the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies took him out of Butler University in the 2009 draft. He was an 8th round pick. Came over to the Pirates in a deal before the 2015 season. And Profar shoots one to left, his second hit of the day.
Well, Jurickson taking advantage of this nice little opportunity he's getting. Playing some solid defense at second base. Leading off and getting his base hits too. Pretty tough pitch. Sinking, tailing fastball. Right at the bottom of the strike zone on the outside corner.
Well, Profar, 2 for 4 today, 5 for 13 in his 4 ball games that he has played. Ian Desmond got a base hit his last time. 1 out of 3. Batting average up a tick from where he started. It's at .297 at the moment. Scahill, a look over his left shoulder at Profar. 1 ball and no strikes. Scahill facing arguably the hottest Ranger hitter, especially here at home. Desmond has hit safely in 16 of his last 18 games in this ballpark. That goes back to the 21st of April. That's a .408 clip. Ouch. Boy, that bat just shattered, exploded in his hand, and Scahill gets the out at first. Profar on down to second. Profar in scoring position with 1 away. Prince Fielder coming up. Before he does, we're going to send it back to Aaron Hardigan for a Chevy game break.
Prince Fielder.
All right, Aaron, thank you. Now, Profar at second. 1 out, Prince Fielder. 1 out of 3 today. That home run leading off the 4th inning for the Rangers. Now, this is what you call getting sawed off, Ian Desmond. That bat just whipping his way back to the umpire.
That's where you hope you just tick it so it goes fouled straight back. You don't want that thing to hit solidly in the middle of the bat down there.
Boy, Prince rips one into the seats, foul. No balls, 2 strikes. Scahill okays the sign. It's checking his swing. It's 1-2. Unfortunately, they can laugh about that one. Two balls, two strikes. Rangers 5 runs on 7 hits this afternoon. The Pirates 2 runs on 7 hits. Rangers have committed the only error of the ball game. Fielder trying to pick up Profar. They're at second. Still 2-2. Defensive alignment with a runner at second. The Pirates not putting the extra infielder on the right side, trying to keep Profar's lead a little bit more manageable at second. And Prince fouling off a tough pitch from Scahill. Still 2-2. Trying to figure out what he wants to do on this pitch. Another 2-2 offering from Scahill. And it's high, 3-2. The fielder not expanding his strike zone against Scahill. Has run the count full. Fielder batting third. He'll be followed by Adrian Beltre. Outfield, as you saw on our overhead shot, shading Fielder slightly around to the left. Andrew McCutchen 10 steps or so toward left center field. And Prince shooting that into the lower sweet level on the left-hand side. Still 3-2. Well, the Rangers trying to win 2 out of 3 against the Pirates. They won 2 out of 3 to start this homestand against the Angels. Rangers looking to win their 8th consecutive series in this ballpark. The only one they've lost was the opening series against the Seattle Mariners. To left field, but Marte there to make the catch for out number 2. Back to second goes Profar, and here comes Adrian Beltre.
Third baseman, Adrian Beltre.
Beltre has walked and singled, and both times he's been on base, he scored. The walk came in the 4th inning. The single led off the 6th. And a very important insurance run carried by Beltre as he came home on the Ryan Holiday sacrifice fly. Pretty heavy sinking fastball from Scahill. Now Beltre settling back in. Stewart with the signs to Scahill. 0-2. Rangers this year 17-9 here at home. They've won 7 of the last 10 home ball games. Beltre takes inside. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. That 17-9 mark for the Rangers, the 4th best in the American League and 5th best in all of the major leagues. Scahill again ready. Beltre, a swing and a miss. It goes back to the backstop. Stewart Can't get the ball down there in time. Here comes Profar. Coming around third, the slide, he's safe.
Wow, what a play.
Jurickson Profar, as the ball went to the backstop, was running, going to third. As soon as Stewart picked up the ball, threw it toward first, Profar never hesitated. Came around third and scored. And the Rangers lead it 6-2. And Clint Hurdle out to talk to home plate umpire Clint Fagan.
Now Stewart has to make a choice whether he throws here with the ball going right into the runner. Rodriguez picked it quickly, threw home, and that's a beautiful play by Scahill to catch that short hop and almost make the tag. And a great slide by Profar to sneak his hand in there. That's stealing a run.
Look at that. Stealing a run. You're right about that. Great base running by Profar, and a good job by the third base coach, Spike Owen, to keep him going. All because of a strikeout wild pitch. Oh, it is a 6-2 Ranger lead. There's no Omar Mazara. Closer look at that slide at home plate. Not a lot of room to work with there, but that left hand of Jurickson Profar just scraping across the top of the plate. Down to first, and Freese will step on the bag. That will do it. But the Rangers again get a run, this time a run on a hit. They leave one after 7. It's now the Rangers 6 and the Pirates 2 on Fox Sports Southwest.
Tom, time for the Progressive Fan of the Game. We got to give it to Effie May, celebrating her 97th birthday today, taking in her very first game from Edgewood, Texas. What do you think so far?
I think it's awesome.
Awesome, okay.
Awesome, every bit of it so far.
Awesome, okay, well, congratulations. Here's the bag. You got big plans afterwards, Effie May. Anything?
Oh, I'm going to go square dancing.
Square
You going to go dance with me?
Oh, you bet. Count me in. I'm ready to go. All right, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
Enjoy the rest of the game.
Thank you.
All right, Buzz.
All right, Noxie, good luck with that that day, Noxie. I think you might be joining a birthday celebration that's a little tough to handle. She looks like she's pretty well wound up, ready to go.
Better brush up on your do-si-do.
Well, Tony Barnett has come out of the Ranger bullpen now to take over. And Barnett working to Jung-Ho Kang. And there's the numbers for Tony. His 21st appearance of the year. 3-2 the record. ERA of 2.20 has been going down pretty steadily in the league, hitting 278 against him. This is high. 2 balls, no strikes. So Matt Bush works a 1-2-3 inning, and now Tony Barnett. Gong has reached on an error. 0 for 3 officially. Two and one. Barnett worked yesterday, worked an inning in relief, gave up 1 hit, had a strikeout. Tony has given up just 1 run in the month of May. 2-2. Rangers adding very important single runs in both the 6th and the 7th. And for all intents and purposes, stealing a run in the 7th. Jurickson Profar scoring all the way from second. A wild pitch and an error. Beltre throws out Gong, 1 away. So folks, the next Throwback Thursday pin is a tribute to the Rangers' first American League Championship victory in 2010. Be one of the first 10,000 fans in the park on Thursday, June 9th. Watch the Rangers take on the Astros and pick up the special collectible. Tickets are available at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. Starlin Marte takes outside, ball 1. Marte had a bunt single as he led off the 6th inning. That was the last inning that Martin Perez had pitched, and Martin got into hot water. That bunt single followed by a Cervelli base hit. And this is ripped over Beltre's head toward the corner in left field. Rua will dig it out. Marte cruising into second with a 1-out double. His second hit of the afternoon. So the 8th hit today for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we talked about Marte. He's a good all-around player. He's got excellent speed. He stole 30 bases last year. He's on pace to steal about 40 this year. Adrian trying to jump high enough to swat that ball down, but couldn't quite get up there. Marte's got power, hit 19 home runs last year, and he's hitting about 320 so far this year. He's a good ball player. Gold Glove winner and the Rawlings Gold Glove last year.
No, Marte at second now, 1 away. Here's Francisco Cervelli, who has singled each of his last 2 times to the plate. 1 ball and no strikes. Cervelli 2 for 3 this afternoon. Grounded out to short back in the 2nd. And he singled to center, singled to right. Barnett with a 1-0 pitch. Sharply hit, but flagged nicely by Profar. On the play, Marte goes to third, but that is out number 2. It'll bring up Sean Rodriguez.
Second baseman Sean Rodriguez.
That's a well-hit ball by Cervelli. Cervelli's a tough out. He's second on the Pirates in walks. Behind by 1. He's had 24 walks. Not hitting for a huge average, but with the walks, he's got a nice on-base percentage. Doesn't strike out very much.
Sean Rodriguez a double in 3 trips. His double came back in the 4th inning. Jake Diekman ready in the Ranger bullpen if needed. Tony Barnett trying to finish off this inning and strand Marte at third. 1 ball and 1 strike. Neftali Feliz. First time we've had a chance to see him in this series. He's done a fine job for the Pirates as setup man for Mark Melanson. We apparently will see Nefty in the bottom of the 8th inning. 2-1. Barnett says okay and comes set. At the top of the strike zone, that evens things up at 2-2. Tony Barnett, it's fun to watch him pitch. He takes that 4-pitch repertoire out there. Matter of fact, he may have more than 4 pitches if you count the various movements on the fastball and very subtle changes of speed. But you never know what kind of an offering you're going to get from the right-hander. Off the end of the bat down the right side, that will twist back into the seats. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes. Good crowd on hand this afternoon. 44,613 watching this finale of the interleague play series. Good look from out in center field. Call strike 3. Rodriguez all tied up at home plate. He is a strikeout, and Tony Barnett works a scoreless 8th. 1 man left. We've played 7.5 at Globe Life Park in Arlington. And Tony Barnett and the Rangers leading the Pirates 6-2.
Up 6-2 over the Pirates as we head to the bottom of the 8th here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. This is the finale of a 3-game series and the finale of this homestand as well. Tonight it is off to Cleveland for these Texas Rangers. A quick 3-game road trip beginning tomorrow right here on Fox Sports Southwest. 6 o'clock first pitch. There you see a couple of the key players in this one. 5 o'clock Central Time, I am now being told, because tomorrow is a holiday. So happy Memorial Day to everyone. And a big thanks to the fine folks at AT high-speed internet for getting us ready for Game 1 between the Tribe and the Rangers, guys.
All right, Emily, thank you. Well, Neftali Feliz has come into the ball game now. First time we've seen Nefty in this series. He turned 28 back on the 2nd of May.
28 feels like he ought to be about 34.
Came up to the Rangers when he was a 20-year-old.
Yep.
Throwing fire. Had some great years here.
But he's got the fire back. That one was 95.
Jared Hoying has come off the Ranger bench to pinch hit for Ryan Rua. Hoying, who got his first major league hit in yesterday's game, fouls it off, and the count is even to him at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Facing Neftali Feliz, who made his major league debut back in 2009 with the Rangers. Pitched in 20 ball games that year. Next year, he was installed as a closer and saved 40 ball games. Popped up on the left side of the diamond. Gang, the third baseman, makes the grab. Hoying is out. 1 gone for Mitch Moreland.
First baseman, Mitch Moreland.
Now with Mitch coming up, how about our Jimmy John's delivery of the game? The big blast in the ball game, and literally a blast. Mitch Moreland unloaded his 6th home run of the year, way up into the upper home run porch. That was a delivery of this game and several others. Mitch Moreland, the long bomb, a 3-run blast, and that put the Rangers on top, and they have made that stand up. They've added to it. Rolled out into the shift. Rodriguez out there makes the throw.
Catcher, Brian Holiday.
2 gone. Brian Holiday now coming up. Holiday 1 for 2 this afternoon. Had a double leading off the 3rd. And had a sacrifice fly in the 6th inning. O'Brien now with 9 runs driven in. Holiday at a .238 average, taking strike 1. There's Sam Dyson loosening in that Ranger pen. No balls, 2 strikes to Holiday. In the last 6 starts, not counting today, for Brian Holiday, the Rangers have gone 5-1 in those 6, and they're on the verge of going 6-1 in the last 7. They can close out today. One ball, 2 strikes. And overall, Brian has hit safely in 5 of his last 6 games, or 5 of his last 7 starts, I should say. A 364 clip, so he has turned things around offensively. Gotten the third baseman up and throwing, and that'll do it. So Feliz has a quick and tidy 8-pitch 8th inning. He sends the Rangers down in order. We're going to the 9th inning here at Globe Life Park. Looks like it's going to be Sam Dyson protecting a 6-2 Ranger lead.
Here at Globe Life Park, Rangers leading the rubber game with the Pirates 6-2 as they look to improve to 6-1. in rubber games this season and win their 8th straight series here at home. We will have plenty of reaction to it and relive it all on Rangers Live, the post-game show coming up after the game. Mark McLemore will join me here at the desk. We'll hear from the skipper, and Emily Jones and Jim Knox will be working that clubhouse for player reaction. We may even join the two who have so well called this series as well, as we kick things back to you, Steve Busby and Tom Grieve.
All right, Aaron, thank you very much. Well, we head to the 9th inning, and Sam Dyson is the new Ranger pitcher. Sam, who's now appeared in the last 2 ball games, came into a 5-1 game yesterday. Rangers on top, gave up a run in the 9th. So there was no save involved. There's no save situation here today for Sam. 6-2 Rangers on top. Dyson will face Matt Joyce, Chris Stewart, and then back to the top of the order, Jordy Mercer. But looking down to the on-deck circle, John Jaso has grabbed a bat to ostensibly pinch hit for Stewart. But first things first, here is Matt Joyce. Joyce 0 for 2. As Dyson misses outside. Joyce drew a walk back in the 2nd. Since then, has grounded to first and struck out. 1-1. Sam Dyson, his 26th appearance of the year. That's the most on the ball club. 18 hits in his 24 innings of work. 19 strikeouts.
And one thing that helps Sam out is he has a lot of appearances, but he probably has as few pitches per inning as any of the guys out in the bullpen, because he uses that sinker, he throws strikes, gets a lot of early outs, a lot of ground balls. So he's not having too many 23, 24 pitch innings.
No, that's a good point. That's why he can get up and throw 3 or 4 days in a row, whereas most guys really can't, because it takes them more pitches. Well, John Jaso now is announced as the pinch hitter for Chris Stewart. Jaso, a 3.08 average. Dyson with the first pitch to him. That is a sinker in for strike 1. Took something off that. Rangers shade him around to the right, but not in an overshift. Here's a slider. 0-2. Look at the Ranger defensive alignment. Jurickson Profar splitting the difference between first and second, right on the rim of the outfield grass. Hanser Alberto shading up the middle. Dyson's 0-2. So fighting off that slider in on the fist. Yu Darvish, 5 outstanding innings last night, picking up his first win in his first outing at the big league level since August of 2014. 1-2. The big hurdle for Darvish, another one, was how he was feeling today, and apparently everything is just fine. He said it was just pretty much normal stuff. Two balls, 2 strikes. Dyson back to the plate. Got him swinging.
Took something off. 88-mile-an-hour changeup. Jaso out in front of it. Jaso, a pretty good contact hitter. And just like his sinker, the bottom drops out of his changeup too.
Boy, no kidding.
Maybe more than his sinker.
So 2 away, and now the top of the order, and Jordy Mercer. Mercer 1 for 4 this afternoon. Had a first inning double and scored. He looks at strike 1. Dyson back to the 97-mile-an-hour power sinker, turbo sinker, if you will. Since that first inning, Mercer has grounded out twice and struck out. Slider for a strike. And Dyson now has the Pirates down to their last strike, and this crowd better than 44,000, and they are whooping it up. The Rangers take 2 out of 3 from the Pirates. Got in swing. And that is a winner. Dyson works a 1-2-3 ninth inning with a pair of strikeouts. The Rangers back Martin Perez with 6 runs today. And that is basically a month's worth of work for the offense behind Martin Perez. But he made it stand up and did a whale of a job in his 6 innings of work. Matt Bush, Tony Barnett, and Sam Dyson closed it out. Mitch Moreland, a game-changing 3-run home run that followed a Prince Fielder solo blast in that 4-run 4th inning. And the Rangers never looked back from that point. They added single runs in the 6th and 7th to give Martin Perez his 3rd win of the year, his 2nd in the month of May. Well, Martin Perez, outstanding job tonight, this afternoon, and the Rangers doing what they needed to do offensively. And Martin Perez enjoying that final out. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Elvis Andrus there with a day off, and the Rangers made Martin Perez a winner here this afternoon. Good to see Perez able to follow up a big outing last night by Yu Darvish with a very good outing of his own here this afternoon. Let's head down to the field and check in with Emily Jones.
Thank you very much, Mitch Moreland. Back-to-back days with a home run for you. Are you feeling in a groove, so to speak?
I don't know if I'd go that far, just trying to go up there and get a good pitch and, make something happen. I was able to do it again today, and it worked out for us. It was a good one.
I know probably you're as excited about the home run that Prince Fielder hit as you were about your own, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's Hey, don't move.
Feel good?
That's extra cold today.
Prince getting his today, too. You guys are buds. I know it was probably good for you to see him get that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's nice when we're able to get it going like that, put some runs on the board. Martin's been throwing the ball really well, and, to give him some run support there and put us ahead for good, it was nice.
What's that like for you when Martin is battling through some things and he, emotional out there on the mound and gets through those tough situations? For you guys, defensively and as an offense, what does that do for you?
I mean, it's huge. He's been doing it all year for us. He's really stepped up and thrown the ball well, especially here of late. And it's nice to be able to reward him with a win, because he's been fighting so hard for us, and we were able to do that for him.
Mitchie, congratulations.
Thanks.
Appreciate the time. We'll send it back now to you guys.
All right, Emily, thank you very much. Well, a very happy Mitch Moreland, as you can understand, a very happy Ranger clubhouse as they get ready to take off to Cleveland. And the Gatorade showers for everybody, for the home run guys. Prince Fielder and Mitch Moreland got one of his own. And extra cold today, according to Mitch. Now 6-2, the final. The Rangers complete the series victory over the Pirates. We're back with more right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.